What's going on, y'all? It's your boy No Credit, and I'm back again with another one. I need you guys to do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon for more videos like this. That being said, let's get into it. Honestly, I just seen an interview from Sebastian Fundora, promoter Samson Lukowicz, and he spoke on the fight, Sebastian Fundora versus Tsyzu. He spoke on the fight. He spoke on the severity of the injuries. So I'm going to touch on that, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on what he said. He said the severity of the injuries suffered from both guys. Fundora injuries was way worse than Tsyzu. He says Fundora is out until September, but is not going to be back in the ring until November. And he also said Tsyzu will be cleared to fight in July. So if this is true, everybody might be looking salty right now, because everybody was saying Tsyzu lost because of the injuries he suffered. But according to the doctors and according to the suspensions, Sebastian Fundora injuries was way worse. He suffered a broken nose where he probably couldn't breathe. A lot of blood was coming out of his nose. That was way worse. But he bit down and he won the fight. Tsyzu suffered a cut on his head. Blood was shooting through his eyes. He couldn't bite down and win the fight when he was winning the early rounds. I did a video saying Tsyzu doesn't have heart. I'm gonna go ahead and say that was a stretch. He do have heart, because he did fight through it for 12 rounds. But I'm not gonna say he don't have heart. I just feel like he don't have the next level, next gear. Meaning, like, if I'm ever in a fight and something happened where I know there's a possibility I could lose a fight, like an accident, like the headbutt, like the not headbutt, the elbow to the forehead, like that. If I knew that happened, then I would move with urgency. I didn't see that type of urgency from Tsyzu. I didn't see that type of urgency where he was like, damn, man, I'm down on the cards. I got to go get this, man. I'm down on the cards. They could stop this fight. I could lose this fight because of this cut. I didn't see that type of urgency. So with that being said, I feel like that could be the problem. That's why I did the video and said he didn't have the heart, because I didn't see that type of urgency from him. If he would have showed that type of urgency, then I would have never said I didn't see the heart. But he was clearly winning the fight, and he lost the fight because of the cut, according to the fans. In my opinion, I don't believe he lost the fight because of the cut. I believe he lost the fight because, he slowed down. He started off hot. Sebastian Fundora was boxing him, smart. He expected a war. He expected Fundora to stay in the pocket and trade with him all night. And Fundora decided to box him, and he wasn't ready for that. He wasn't able to adapt to Fundora. So don't just blame it on the eye. Don't blame it on the blood rushing through the eye. I don't want to buy that. I think he just wasn't prepared for Fundora boxing him, and that was the problem. But anyway, moving forward, his manager also said they're going to honor the rematch. I think it's a crazy idea. I think it's ridiculous if they honor the rematch. The rematch was verbal. At the end of the day, this is business. The rematch was verbal. You do not have to honor the rematch. Honestly, you don't. I think it's a disservice to his fighter, because if Fundora rematch Tsyzu and he gets knocked out, depending on how he loses to Tsyzu, he gets knocked out, nobody's going to want to see him fight Crawford or Spence anymore. Nobody's going to want to see him fight those guys. He's literally just coming off a knockout loss. To be honest, if we can really be honest, the fact that he was coming off a knockout loss going into that Tsyzu fight, we didn't even want to see him fight. The fact that he was coming off that vicious knockout. How can people forget so fast? This is a guy who just got stretched by Brian Mendoza, and Tsyzu beat Brian Mendoza. So I was confused on the fight. I'm like, I understand Keith Thurman is out, but this guy just got stretched by Brian Mendoza, and we haven't seen him since the Brian Mendoza fight, and he's coming back in here to fight Tsyzu, and Tsyzu just beat Brian Mendoza in a one-sided fight. You know, Tsyzu literally just dominated Brian Mendoza, who knocked out Sebastian Fundora. A nasty knockout, too. So I was confused when they made that fight. I'm like, come on, Tim, why are you fighting a guy who lost to a guy you just beat? It didn't make no sense, but, you know, Tim probably thought it was going to be an easy walk in the park, but he found out wrong. It wasn't an easy walk in the park. You know, Sebastian Fundora showed new levels to his game. Tim couldn't adjust. He couldn't adapt. And he ended up losing the fight and blaming it on the head. But I meant the elbow to the head, the cut, or whatever. But anyway, moving forward, like I said, the promoter of Brian Mendoza, the promoter of Sebastian Fundora will be making a mistake and doing a disservice to his fighter if he honors the rematch, which is not on paper but verbal. If he honors the rematch and he gives that rematch to Tsyzu, it's a disservice to his fighter, because, like, why would you do that when you can maximize your money? What he said after the fight was smart. He said, we won the fight. It's time for us to maximize our money. So to maximize your money is to go fight Errol Spence in Dallas and lose the belts, because you can't beat Errol. Or fight Terence Crawford, you're mandatory, and lose the belts and make a lot of money. You know, either way you go, you can make a lot of money with Crawford and Spence. Rematch with Tsyzu, you're not making a lot of money. Yes, you're going to be the A side, but you ain't going to make Crawford, Errol Spence type of money, because you know that's a pay-per-view event, a huge pay-per-view. Everybody wants to see these guys back in the ring. So you ain't going to make that type of money. But if you go back in there with Tsyzu and you lose, your stock drop. Don't nobody want to fight you no more. Crawford and Spence is not going to be looking at you. They're going to be looking at Tsyzu. Tsyzu going to take your spot. Where Sebastian Fundora is at right now, if he goes and he fights Tsyzu and he loses his spot. Now Tsyzu takes that spot back from him. Tsyzu is the next guy in line to fight Errol or Bud. So I think it's a disservice to his fighter if Sebastian Fundora, promoter Samson Lukowicz, puts him back in the ring with Tsyzu. But if he does go back in the ring with Tsyzu and he beats Tsyzu, then we got a different story. But is it really worth the risk? In my personal opinion, absolutely not. You guys let me know in the comment section if it's worth the risk, because if he loses, and depending on the nature on how he loses, I don't think anybody's going to want to see him against those top two pound for pound fighters. It's your boy No Credit. I'm out.